Hello and welcome to the third part of our Crafty Rock Crochet-A-Long, where we're making a spring garland with a number of different typical spring flowers. We've already in week 1 and 2 made primroses and cherry blossoms, and this week we're going to make the third flower, which is the snowdrop. Now, this is the first of the three-dimensional flowers that we'll be making, but it's quite easy and it's quite effective as well. It's made of 3 petals around a central disc with a green calyx and stalk at the back. So if you make a few of these, you can attach them to your hoop, and they can dangle down and look quite nice. I'm using Drops Paris again, as I have with the other flowers, and a 4mm hook. But you could also use a double knitting like Muskat, which is one of the Drops cottons, and for that you'd use a 3mm hook. Some of you bought kits from me, and I'm afraid I was unable to get a green in the Muskat, so I supplied you with a ball of Paris, and that should be fine. You can still use your 3mm hook, or if you find it difficult, switch to the 4mm hook. But because it's at the back of the flower, I don't think there'll be a problem with that. So here we go. We're going to start, as we always do, with with a slip knot. And I think you should be able to see better what I'm doing since we bought this new holder. So I'm going to work 5 chains. And join with a slip stitch to the first of the chains, going in and taking 2 loops on the top and pull it through. So we have our circle, and it's quite a big opening in the circle this time. So the first petal, I'll just move them all to that side. Now, 3 chains and 3 trebles into the circle. So 3 chains, 3 trebles. Now, instead of carrying on working around the circle, I'm going to turn the work and work in the back of the trebles that we've just made. And again, I'm going to do 3 chains, and I'm going to do a treble, not into the first treble, but into the second and third and the top of the 3 chains. So 3 trebles, there's the first one, into the second treble, the second one into the third treble, and the third one into the 3 chains. It can be a bit tricky to get in there because we often tighten our last chain. So that's the first row of the petal on top of the base, and then turn it again and repeat that. Do 3 chains, treble into the second, treble into the third, this time you're going to just slip stitch into the top of those chains, because we're going to start going down the side of the petal now. So slip stitch there, slip stitch into the second one, and slip stitch into the last of the chains. And that's the first petal. Just pulling a little bit there. Okay, so it's curved slightly at the edges because we didn't go into the first of the stitches. Now we're going to make the second petal the same way. You're going to make 4 trebles into the centre. One, 2, 3, 4. Turn it, 3 chains, and miss the first one, go into the second, make a treble, the third, make a treble, and this time it'll be the last treble into another treble because we don't have 3 chains there to go into. Turn it, 3 chains, treble, treble, and this time you're going to slip stitch and then slip stitch into the next 2 chains to bring us down to the base row again. So 2 petals done. Now 4 trebles again. I'm going around over my tail end as I do so, just so it'll be easier to fasten off. Turn it, 3 chains, miss the first one, treble into the second, treble into the third, and treble into the fourth. Turn, 3 chains, treble into the second, treble into the third, and because this is the last row, slip stitch into the top of your 3 chains, slip stitch into the second chain down, and then into the last one. So now I've got 3. I'm going to fold that across a little bit. I want to join them. So if you just have a look where your 3 chains were at the beginning, you're going to slip stitch into the top of the first row of 3 that you did. But I'm also going to change the colour here, so I'm going to cut that. And then switch to the green. And I'm going to finish my slip stitch with the green. Let's tighten the white. And I'm going to do 3 chains. Just keep those nice and tight at the back. So we're ready to do the calyx now, and the calyx, well, this is like we're going to be looking at the inside of the flower. No, we're looking at the outside of the flower. We're going to work around this central disc of trebles, and we're going to do what's called treble 2 together, which is a form of decrease that we use in crochet. We have 11 trebles and 3 chains here, so we've 12 posts, and we want to reduce it to 6. So I'm going to make the first stitch around the 3 chains. Okay, that's our first 3 chains. It's got a little bit lost there with the join, but I've yarn over, I'm going to go around the 3 chains. Okay, it's not into the top of it, it's around it, around the post. And I'm going to yarn over and pull through. So I have 3 stitches on the hook, and I'm going to complete the first 2 and then leave 2. And then I'm going to go around the next post. So yarn over. So this is the post here. You go in always from the front to the back, from right to left if you're working as a right-hander. Yarn over, pull the yarn round the back, and yarn over and through the first 2 loops there. So now we've got 3 on the hook, and then we yarn over and pull through all 3. So we've reduced 2 posts to 1 stitch. Treble 2 together. So the next one is here, so front, round the back of the post and out the left hand side. Yarn over, pull through, got 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go around the next post, yarn over, pull through, and 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's 2 posts done, or 2 treble 2 together. Now I've got to fit 6 in here. We had 12 posts, so we're going to do 6 treble 2s together. This is number 4. 5. And then there's just 2 posts left for number 6. Or there should be. And finished off. And then just to finish the circle, if you can find your 3 chains that you started with in the green and just slip stitch into the top of those, that will close the circle. So we've made a little tube, which is the first row of the calyx. Now we're going to close that circle a little bit more and start again with 3 chains. Now this time we work into the top of the stitches, not trying to get into posts, but just the top stitches. So treble 2 together again. That's the first one, and that's the second. So just the tops of the stitches, pull through. That's 1 treble 2 together. Now there's only going to be 3 treble 2s together to do here, so it's a little bit tight. There's the second one. And now here is the third. Okay, and now we have a slip stitch into the top of the 3 chains to close that circle. So that's formed a narrowing tube now. Just to tighten it, maybe put in a slip stitch. Although that's quite good, but sometimes you could put in another slip stitch just in the center, just to hold it there. Right, so now we've just got the stalk to do. You can do your stalk any length. I did 6 chains. If you want it to hang down lower, do a few more chains, and then slip stitch into the second and all the way along. Slip stitch into each chain back to the main part of the flower. It just thickens it up a little bit. And then a slip stitch back into the center. Cut your thread and pull through. So there we are. Now just a few ends to fasten off. This is always the tedious part, but we can actually hide a few of the ends in this. A you sort of do it into the centre and then pull it tight, you can cut it close and it'll retract back in. And the same here where we were going around crocheting over the stitches around. If you pull that and then cut it close, it'll retract back in. So there's just these two then that have to be sewn in. So I'll do that in a minute. So you've got your nice snowdrop shape. You could make a few of them and put them into a little pot if you wanted. Make a little arrangement of snowdrops. It's nice. You've got the centre there, where we were going around the posts, leaves a nice circle of green. And as I said, for the garland, if you do a couple of them, you can cluster them together, and they look nice then for grouping, hanging down on the garland. Next week I'm going to do the pansy. This will be the fourth of our flowers. This one is done in 2 shades of purple with a yellow centre. This one is done in pink and purple with a yellow centre. Pansies, you know, have many colours, so you could use blue, you could use yellow for your pansy. So we'll be doing that next week, and good luck making your snowdrops, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.